بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. Welcome to the second session of the Fiqh of Marriage course. Alhamdulillah, Muftī Sahib is with us as well. Muftī Sahib has informed me that we have a lot of slides to get through, subhanAllah, because we went through them quite thoroughly yesterday. We didn't get much done, so we will, if we want to get through them thoroughly, then we will need an additional session. So now we have two choices. We can skim through the sessions quickly and finish them, or we can have additional sessions next week, inshallah, and try to finish them thoroughly. So I've put a poll out on this Zoom meeting. So inshallah, if all the students can kindly give their vote, inshallah, and then take it from there. Barakallahu feekum. So inshallah, we'll begin without delaying further.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I hope everyone's well. I think we should start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. قال الله تعالى ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة. صدق الله العظيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا. So today's our second session where we're going through this marriage discussion, inshallah. Now, just to continue from where we left off yesterday, really, if we... Right, there we go. If we have... sorry, there we go. Right, so we were here. I said that we're going to discuss the next slide, which was the Shar'i boundaries, which people kept asking about what to do. So firstly, we understand there's a hadith. I mean, there's plenty of hadith along the same topic, but just to give an understanding, using one hadith, that we have Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiyallahu anhu. He proposed to a woman, and when Rasulullah found out, he asked that, did you look at her? Did you take a look at her? Or Prophet, in fact, in this particular version, Prophet told him, "Unduru ilayha," that look at her, for it is more likely to make things long-lasting between you. So it's something that will enable you to, so you can understand that there is some drive towards attraction and looking at your proposed, though we do mention the traditional way of the way that people used to get married, but these are obviously traditional ways. No problem in looking at your potential spouse. So that's something we can understand from ahadith. There are a number of ahadith similar to this. Nevertheless, moving on. So we have also, therefore we understand, we derive that a person is encouraged that they look at their spouse and, by extension, try to judge the feasibility by speaking with them, and you judge whether this person is suiting you or not. And we did how to do that yesterday, questions to ask and how to determine that. And now the boundaries of that in Sharia, we understand two things mainly. These are the main two things. One is seclusion, is you can't be in seclusion with somebody, the opposite gender, and also unnecessary discussion. So you can't have seclusion and unnecessary discussion with somebody of the opposite gender. This is prohibited in Sharia. We know this, right? So we have to remember both things here. because some people were asking questions that would it be seclusion in a certain way. But remember, seclusion is not the only problem. We have to understand that there are other problems as well, which is like unnecessary discussion, which is also being violated when it comes to a Shar'i point of view. Now, what is seclusion? Seclusion is meeting. Definition of seclusion would be meeting in a closed area, in a closed room, wherever it may be, whereby the two individuals are completely alone, in such a manner that a third party, anybody else, a intruder, whoever it may be, a third party is unable to see or enter upon them. So if they are alone in a room, but they are behind a glass door, and you can see clearly through that glass door, but you can't hear them, then that's not seclusion. Likewise, that's to understand that somebody can't see them. Likewise, if they are in a room where nobody can enter that room because the door is closed, though it may not be locked, but the close of the door is enough. So nobody will enter that room because it's closed. Someone's gonna have to knock on the door and seek permission before entering. Then this will also be seclusion. But if a person is in a room where the door is open, anyone can walk in anytime. So this will not be seclusion technically. Likewise, if a person is, like I said, yeah, that's the main thing. The two main things are this. So that's what seclusion would be. So now you have to apply that in any scenario you find yourself in, because I can't go through every single scenario, but hopefully I can give you the rule and you can understand that scenario when it would be impermissible to be in a room alone with somebody. So just leave the door open. That's at least what a person can do. Some people choose to have a third person there. That's up to you. If you can talk with somebody else there, and you can be honest in your discussion with somebody else there, then that's up to you. So meeting online, this was a common question people are asking, the meeting online or via the phone, maybe through a video call or something like that, will not be deemed seclusion and therefore permissible, but as long as the second thing is not, unnecessary discussion, the conversation remains respectful and appropriate. So you have to make sure that you are talking about the things that you need to talk about, not just not having unnecessary discussion, you would say, and then leading to complications later on. So this is something that needs to be considered when doing this. Yeah, and what is a man allowed to look at? So a man is permitted to look at the woman's hands and face only. So that's the only things that you're allowed to look at. As far as the hair is concerned, some people are asking about what about the hair or the figure, how she looks in terms, or for the man, meaning for the woman, but obviously for the woman, she can look at more than the hands and the face. But obviously from the man's point of view, he can only look at the hands and face. Then this can only be seen by other female members. So the advisable thing I would then do, if the hair matters so much to you, like for some people it may do, and maybe the figure matters so much to you, then get some female member of your family to maybe see her hair or her figure, or somebody like a sister or somebody, get them to see that perspective, inshallah. Then they will be able to give you an opinion. So that's the way to get around that in a practical way. Personal contact details should not be exchanged, and conversation should always remain respectful and appropriate. So these are the Shar'i boundaries that I could think of that are commonly understood or asked about. Hopefully people understand the Shar'i boundaries of this meeting then that we're going to have. Okay, I think that's self-explanatory in terms of moving forward from that. Yeah, there are obviously details that we don't have time to go into all the little details, but hopefully, inshallah, you get the picture from that. So we did some of this. I've chosen to put this slide later now because there were questions that are coming from that. So I put that one earlier now. This one is somewhat a little bit what we did yesterday. So first is you go for the meeting once you've done your homework. You've done your, the chart that you need to draw up, like we said. You've offshooted questions from it, understood what your priorities are. Then you go for your meeting and you ask your most important but appropriate questions. So your most important questions you ask and appropriate questions you will ask, and build it into conversation like we talked about. Based on their answers, then sometimes what it is when they give you answers, I'm sure people that have been to interviews will understand, and been to these kind of meetings will know that sometimes you don't remember the answer that the person gave. What answer did they give for this? So sometimes it might be just an idea to straight away after the meeting, maybe just quickly note down on your phone or something what they said for certain things. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with even saying at that time that, can I just write a note of this so I can remember your response? So maybe something like that along the way, depending on how you find, the person to be, and how casual you can make that. But obviously, I would definitely discourage sitting there with a pen and paper and making it look like a proper interrogation, you would say. I mean, you can also do so by saying that, I mean, anything you feel that you want to note down, you're free to also, note down. So then it become like a two-way thing that you're noting down, then they can also note down, and it might settle, or it may break that a bit more subtly, yes? And decide how many of your desired traits they possess, and you will never find somebody, remembering that you will never find somebody who has every quality you desire. So not to wait for that person to arrive, but somebody that you can work with in terms that you can compromise some of the things that you've written down, and that's the way to work. If they possess the main qualities and seem a possible prospect, so they do possess the main qualities. There are some qualities that you're still unsure of. Then you can go for, like I said, you consult the family, and you ask experienced individuals. We talked about it yesterday, and then you go for a second meeting, or even more possibly to confirm your initial evaluation, to ask your remaining questions, to get certain gray areas of yours, cleared up, inshallah. So that's the way to do this. And then after that, you perform istikhara. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the order is quite important, that you do this, and you don't do this istikhara up here somewhere. So you see the person and straight away start doing istikhara. That's not the way to do it. Many people understand istikhara to be incorrectly. I don't have time to go into all of it, but I'll try to explain to you the concept of istikhara. The word istikhara in Arabic comes from istakhara, comes from khair. Khara from khair means istakhara. For those people who understand Arabic, bab istif'al, the meaning of it is to seek khair, to seek goodness. So you are seeking the khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means you are asking Allah to put khair, to put goodness in your decision that you are going to go ahead and make. So you're going to more or less, after this stage, so you've done all of this, you've done your second meet as well, you've done your mashwara and everything. So this stage, you're more or less inclining towards a yes or a no, whatever it may be. So you're inclining towards yes, or you're inclining towards no. And before you give that final decision, you want to do this istikhara. And that's what istikhara is about. So what you do, you do istikhara, you perform istikhara. How to perform the istikhara and the du'as for istikhara is all over the internet. And I think it'll just be taking time for going through that now. So so is seeking the khair, seeking the goodness is what we're looking at here. So what it is that you are now kind of inclined towards a yes or a no, like I said, then you ask Allah to put khair in your decision. So you're going to say yes, for example. So then Allah will place khair in the decision. If you analyze the dua, the long dua as well, the dua is simply asking for this as well. You're asking Allah that if this person is good for me, then destine them for me, make it easy for me and everything else. And if it's not good for me, then move this person away from me. So you're asking this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not asking Allah, though Allah, shall I say yes or no? You're not asking mashwara from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not what istikhara is about. And that's commonly what people understand istikhara to be, that you're asking Allah, what shall I do? Allah, please tell me what to do. So you will see a dream or something, right? And in which Allah will tell you what to do. That's not how it works. Allah does not tell us what to do. That's something we need to really understand. Allah, He can guide you as to what you should be doing. Maybe certain signs can be given. Not to say that Allah won't ever do that, but Allah won't tell you what to do. Okay? So there's no seeking mashwara. But some people say, I did istikhara for so long, I've been doing it for a whole year, for example, and I still haven't seen anything. You're not going to see anything because Allah's not going to tell you what to do. You're going to have to make that decision from these methods, utilizing all your asbab, all your means, utilizing all your means to get to some sort of correct decision of yours, and then you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place khair in that decision of yours. Now, if you were going to say yes, for example, and there was no khair, there was no goodness in your decision, then Allah, because of the barakah of this istikhara you made, Allah will put barriers in the way. So there will be certain barriers, or some people will, when you consult them, they will give you something else. So they say that, no, I don't think this is promising. I think this and that. So they'll put you off. But things will happen in the procedure where then you will not end up getting married to this person. So many times, I'm sure people on this forum will understand as well. Many times people, they are actually going to get married to somebody. They've said yes, everything's happened, and then what happens? It breaks up before the actual nikah, before the marriage. It breaks up. So I commonly say that this is the barakah of your istikhara. If you did istikhara, then this is the barakah of your istikhara, that Allah has placed a barrier, and you did not end up marrying this person because it was not khair for you to marry this person. So understand this. And if, for example, you're going to say, you said no, and you did istikhara for that as well, because you think that, what's the point of this istikhara if I'm going to say no? Then what happens as well, because I know somebody that they've first said no to this rishta, and they got this proposal, and they said no to that proposal. Then they went and viewed some of the other people, and they came back round, and that particular proposal came back again. Somebody put that proposal back in, and they said, okay, let's see, because some people, they said that this person's changed and is promising and the rest of it. So then they actually ended up, they actually now currently they're married and they have children. So, but they actually said no to their partner first when they first viewed them, but they got married later on again afterwards. So this shows us that by saying no, when you do istikhara, Allah will khair in it, and then there will be a pathway that will be, inshallah, made to you eventually marrying that person if it's going to be. So this is what istikhara is about. Hopefully people understand what istikhara is about. It's not about asking Allah for his opinion. Okay, it's not about that at all. And hopefully people snap out of that, and we can obviously give the right information out regarding what istikhara is all about. That's that. What if the marriage breaks up? So if that's what I'm saying, that if the marriage breaks up, that's the barakah of the istikhara. Okay, and that's that really. So then after you've done that, then you make your final decision. You make your decision. What if you've done all of this? Remember this, yeah? If you do all of this, you've done everything. You've done your homework. You did all your efforts. You've done mashwara. You've asked people. You've done istikhara. And then you said yes. Remember, in life, you will always find occasions where you will think twice, that did I make the right decision? You will regret. Maybe you will even look at somebody else and you will say that, oh, if I got married to this person, it might have been better. It may have been different. You will always think this, because this is shaitan. Shaitan will always make you doubt. But remember, have yaqeen at this stage now. You have this certainty at this stage and reliance on Allah, that once you've done your work, you've done what you had to do, Allah will fill up the rest. You don't need to worry too much. So inshallah, you've done everything in the right way, then you will get to a decision which is good for you, correct for you, and you will lead to, which we'll talk about next, you will lead to a happy life, inshallah. So that's something, I mean, just remember that you will come to times in life where you will regret, and you may come across times when you will think that, did I make the right decision or not? Just ignore it. Don't let it play a part in don't quite keep dwelling on this. Otherwise, it'll just make your own life more miserable. So that's something everyone needs to bear in mind. Doing istikhara for somebody else is not recommended. I mean, the best thing is do your own istikhara. You're asking Allah for khair yourself, but you can obviously ask somebody else to ask khair for you. But then it's like telling somebody else, make dua for me that I get better, but I don't make dua for myself that I get better. Why would you do that? Why would you not make dua yourself? You can tell others as well to make dua for you, but you want to do it yourself as well, because there's more heart in that. There's more feeling. There's more connection with Allah. Lastly, important points to remember in this first section of pre-marriage we're talking about. So important points for all of us is that if you're a parent, this is for you, everybody, that parents should have an input. And if you're somebody that's looking for, then you should also ask your parents for their input. But the parents, this is more directed toward parents, that parents keep an input, please keep an input, right? And have an active role throughout the entire process. Many parents nowadays, I mean, people ask me that why do you think so many marriages end up in divorce nowadays? There are various multiple reasons why. One of the biggest reasons I say is because parents have stopped with their input and having an active role in marriages. If you ask maybe your parents or even your grandparents how they ended up getting married, how did they marry, then a lot of them would have been like we understood a traditional arranged marriage style, which was that their father, one day they came home and their father told them that you're getting married to this girl or you're getting married to this boy. And that's that. They had no say. They may have been able to have a glimpse of them, catch a glimpse of them at the bus stop maybe or something, right? That's probably it. But some of them, they saw their spouse on their first night and that's it. But they still lived a happy life, didn't they? They lived a life and they continued to, I'm talking about majority, right? The majority of them, they carried on. There was not a divorce. Yes, I understand that there's a concept at that time where divorce was a no-go zone, and there's also multiple factors to play a part there. Yeah, but one of the factors I say is because your parents, they know you, like I said yesterday, they know you, and they know what suits you. So when they look for somebody, they'll look for somebody that would match you. Okay, a simple example of this, I would say, is that if your son or daughter, right, your son or daughter, if they pass the driving test, so now they've passed the driving test, yeah, they've come back, they've over the moon, they passed the driving test. A week or two later, you gave them £5,000 and you said, okay, go buy a car for yourself. Go out there and buy a car for yourself. Which parent would do that? Would anyone do that? What do you think? Would anyone give £5,000 to first time just past learning and they're going to give them, go buy a car? I don't think so, right? Nobody's going to give even £5,000 we're talking about. Nobody's going to give money like this to their, to go and buy whatever they want. Yes, it's not going to happen. Why? Simply because you're going to say that they're inexperienced. They don't know what they're going to buy. They're going to go there. They're going to find the car looking very nice. The person's polished it up, maybe washed it and given it a nice clean. And maybe the shape of the body is nice. The color of the paintwork is nice. So that's why they're going to buy the car like that. It starts up. Okay, that's it. But they don't know actually what's wrong with the car. Is it a good car? Is it a good make? And the rest of it. So you're not going to just send them off to buy a car on their own. You're going to view the car with them. You're going to be with them. You're going to give them advice that, no, this car doesn't look good. This car, there's problems with it. But they're really into that car. It's a sports car. It's a nice color. Everything, they wanted it. But you're going to tell them the problems with that car, and you're going to get constant problems. You're going to end up with in a garage every couple of weeks. So then that's the input the parents have, a very active role when they're buying a car. And that's just a matter of £5,000, right? Let's say they went wrong and they bought a car which they lost out on. They've lost like £5,000. That's it. Move on, earn more money and buy another car. Here we're talking about their life here. This is their life. They're going to get married to somebody here. And then we're allowing them to just go out there and choose for themselves and have no input and have no active role, at all. What do you expect is going to happen? They have no experience in this field. As much as people will think that, no, but I want to have the last say. Yes, you can have the final decision, no problem. But the parents, their input is vital. They need to have a role there to play. And this is very important to be able to, because they're experienced, they've lived the life, they know what you should be looking for in the long run. So they will look for these things. And, this is something which we need to take into consideration. So as parents, please, people, as you grow older as well, inshallah, when you become parents, if you're not already, then have an input, have some sort of input and some sort of active role. Ultimately, obviously, you want them to be happy and them to make the decision, but you have to guide them, explain to them, and let them come to their decision afterwards themselves. So that's the idea here. Okay, everybody? I'm not promoting blind marriages, right? So that's not, I just use as an example, right? But not promoting these kind of marriages, because obviously Prophet ﷺ himself, he encouraged the Sahaba to view. Okay, so it's not something that I'm discouraging or something. Don't understand a wrong impression from what I said. I just used it simply as a understanding, inshallah, so we can understand what we're trying to say here. Moving on, so we have a second bit of advice is that don't make the make the prospective spouse feel deceived by claiming or by seeming to claim or seeming to show that you have certain qualities that you don't have. Okay, so just because it's you think it should be the answer, if you don't have it, be clear that I'm not. I know I don't really pray 5 times. I'm trying, and I will try, and I just need somebody to whatever. I need this push sometimes, and I think that my spouse can offer this, and whatever you think it may be, mention it how it is. Okay, as this, by claiming things you don't have, this causes long-term issues. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of issues it then creates, because your spouse has a certain impression of you, and then you turn out not to be like that. So then they feel betrayed. So that betrayal, the trust loss, will be something that you will be finding it very difficult to win back. So once that trust is lost, they feel betrayed, then you're going to have problems. From day one, you will have animosity inside, which they cannot mention to you. Many times they will not be able to mention certain things to you. So honesty is the best policy. Just be honest and try to find somebody. Just as you don't want to be lied to, you should not be lying to somebody else. Not actively. I understand people won't be actively lying, but you shouldn't be making claims that you know of these qualities you don't possess. And hopefully this brings us to a close on our pre-marriage stuff. We do want to move on to our second section here, which is to do with during marriage. I think this is a very important section. We have spent a lot of time on the first section, which is, I think, also a very important section, but this hopefully will give us a lot of understanding and clarity as to how to maintain a marriage. So during marriage, we've got three main areas. We're going to discuss. One is living a happy married life. We talked about this right at the beginning, if you remember, in the course overview. So this is the first section, how to live a happy married life. And the two key ingredients are these ones, which is maintaining a lifelong honeymoon period, which is what everyone ideally wants, right? People think that this is just idealistic, not realistic, but I'll explain how to make this more realistic than just an ideal dream. And then obviously conflict resolution, because this is part and parcel of life. You're going to have conflict because you got two different people here coming from two different backgrounds and everything else. You got just two different people here. And just merely the fact that they're different means that there's going to be times when there's going to be slight conflict. It doesn't need to be a big conflict, but slight conflicts as well. And how to resolve these issues, inshallah, we'll talk about. So these are the three main areas we're going to be discussing, inshallah. Right. Jazakumullah khairan. Right. So living a happy married life. So I'm just reading certain comments and I'm just responding to the comments if you find something random. So
shall we ask some questions since one section is finished? Or?
You can do. Okay, let's do some questions then. Go on.
So there's a question about the meeting. In terms of dress code, is she okay to wear whatever so long as it's covering?
Yeah, so when I say show who you are, be who you are, it doesn't mean you turn up there in a casual, scruff neck, how you would generally dress. Don't do that. You have to make a bit of effort, right? There has to be a bit of effort to show your character that you do make an effort when it's a special occasion, because it is a special occasion. This is potentially the first time you meet your life partner. So it's something that you make an effort for, but it's not something where you're going to now show some, completely change the way you look completely. But it is something that you would make an effort for, 100%. So there needs to be a balance struck.
Okay. From the section on choosing your ideal spouse, in some places like mine, there is no meeting that takes place between the prospective spouses. Usually the parents talk among themselves and the marriage is fixed. What to do in such a situation?
So what to do in such a situation, you can find out who this person is. Obviously, this is provided you have a say. If you don't have a say, then there's very little I can tell you. You're going to have to get maybe uncles and aunties or whoever else it is that will play a role. If there's a grandfather, grandmother, that would be even better. That they do have a say, and then tell them that you're not happy if you're not happy. Okay, but how to see that person, like you're saying, is what you do is you find out. I mean, the minimum you could do is see the person, at least to see that this person is I feel attracted to or something. Because most of the times they'll either be studying or they'll either be working or something will happen, right? Yeah. So you find out that they're working in, for example, I don't know, they're working in a certain retail shop or something. They'd pay a visit and maybe view and see whether it's something that you would be happy, you'd be okay with. So you have to do things, and you have to try. Or let's say they're studying in a certain institute, then you'd find out from people who know of people that study in that area or that institute or something, whether this person will match you and things like that. I mean, you're gonna have to find out and do a bit of work yourself. Otherwise, what can you do is the question. Okay, obviously you can't be forced to marry somebody. This is something which is against a concept of Islam. This is nothing to do with Islam. This forced, if you're being forced to marry, you're going to have to get people involved to prevent that happening. But hopefully that's not happening, yeah, especially in our times.
I think this has been answered already, but is it okay for the boy to use his mum to question the girl?
Yep.
Is that unfair?
The boy to use the mum, and the thing is, right, the father as well, he should be playing an active role. So he shouldn't be sitting there if, for example, he's gone to somebody has come to see his daughter. So as a father, small talk, not interrogation, because it's intimidating, obviously, from father-in-law, certain questions, but just small talk, just asking that, okay, so what do you do? Okay, I study, or I work here. So what's your long-term aspiration? Are you going to carry on in this field? It's like a small talk, like, oh, all right, that's interesting. So are you going to carry on in this field? So he'll say that, no, my aspirations is to move on to this and whatever else. So to see what kind of a person it is, not just sit there in the room and just maybe talk to the other father-in-law, meaning talk to your the father-in-law talks to the other father-in-law, and they just chit-chat, and then the boy's just sitting there doing nothing, and he's just sitting there silently and just listening to their conversation. As a father, you need to make sure that, because otherwise, after the meeting, the daughter's going to ask that, what do you think, Dad? And you're like, I don't know, but whatever you think. Are you happy? What kind of an answer is that? Like, where's the input from the parents? Like, what effort did the parents make in doing that? Then you hope that then this doesn't lead to a breakup afterwards, because you haven't made the necessary effort and proper investigations that you needed to do or something. So this is the reason I'm saying that definitely you don't even need to. I don't even think it's something that you need to tell your mother or tell your father. It's something that they should actively take a role in doing. And the reason I'm mentioning this is so that, inshallah, all of you will, when you get to that stage, you will play a part. It doesn't mean you play a forceful part, a dictator style part in that, but you have to be there to offer support and guidance.
Is it unfair to ask the boy to take a blood test for sexual diseases?
I think that's probably taken a bit far, maybe. You have to go by what they know in it. Okay, if it's something like this, then you could do so many things. You could, the boy, for example, can say that, can you do a test to see whether you can fall pregnant or not? I mean, how far will you go?
Yeah.
You understand? So I think that's taken a bit too far.
So as a mother, how do we screen a young man before presenting the boy as a proposal and have the first meeting? Can I ask for a picture? Can I speak to him first and ask a few important questions?
Yeah, so the best thing I say is to ask around first, before even getting that family involved and them even knowing anything. You would ask around. So there's somebody who's brought a proposal. So you say, okay, you find out their address, you find out their family name, you find out where they're from and things like this, and what they currently do. Then you try to get your contacts. You try to phone people, relatives, whoever it may be, distant relatives, even friends, or tell friends that, do you know anybody that lives in that area? And then tell that friend to do a bit of homework for you, and you start doing things like this. So you have a friend that had a son or a daughter who studied in the same college or university or whatever. You ask them, like this, and then you span out the thing. So the masjid will be also an area to ask around. So you find out which mosque do they go to, and you ask this kind of stuff, right? So you find out about any anyone that you know or somebody else knows that goes to the same masjid, and then you ask them as well what kind of person it is. So like this, you do a bit of homework in this way, and then if you see, that's the screening you do, meaning, and if you see that this looks promising, this looks good, and then you take it to the next step, which is then you can ask for a photo, like you're saying, if that is something that matters in the way that the person looks. Yeah, you can ask for all of that. You can ask for details. Nowadays people generally have CVs prepared already, right? So yeah, you can ask for that.
Is closing the door but not locking it, does it classify as khalwa?
Yes, you can't close the door because somebody has to knock on the door before they enter. You can't just enter. So yeah, the door cannot be closed.
My daughter wears a veil and is very shy of lifting the veil. Should she sit through the whole visit without the veil?
Without the veil? Yeah, she'll have to, right? Because then how's the guy going to see how she looks? Yeah. So when she's with the person, when she's with the proposer, the prospect, the male, then yeah, she will have to take the veil off, because she'll have to do that afterwards anyway, right? So yeah, she'll have to do that, but she doesn't have to do that in front of the other family members, meaning the male family members. Obviously, in front of female members, then she would do, right?
Right. After making istikhara, how long should you wait to see whether the affair is made easy or not?
7 days. So istikhara is for maximum 7 days. So you don't have to do all 7 days. You could do 1 day, you can do 3 days, you can do whatever days. But 7 days is the max that you don't go above 7 days, because you're going to be forever waiting to see something. But it's not necessary, like I said, you see a dream or anything like that. It's not even necessary that you have a feeling. It's that, like I said, you've done your background research already. You've done everything. So that would have already inclined you towards a yes or a no. And you're just going to go with that decision. And that's what khair will be placed in.
What if neither parents nor family are upon the Salafi manhaj and do not consider correct aqidah as an important criteria?
So that's down to you in terms of if you think that you will have an influence or you will have enough of an influence to be able to change your spouse to be like your mentality of deen, really. If you think that you will not have enough of influence and you may be influenced, then yeah, you look for somebody that's your criteria. That's your criteria. Otherwise, if it's something that you think that no, I can make an influence of, then you can do what you have to do, right?
What can a woman wear if not abaya? Related to yesterday's question.
Regular clothing, regular normal clothing that a person would wear, at home. That's obviously concealing the aura and things. Yes, just concealing everything.
Communicating with a potential spouse by calling or in online chat, is it okay or not? I think this is answered already, that we shouldn't exchange.
Personal details should not be exchanged because it leads to complications.
Is it correct that a person should continue doing istikhara until the day of the marriage to seek goodness? If the person is not right, then Allah will turn away.
You can do, there's nothing wrong with asking Allah for further dua and further guidance. There's nothing wrong with it, but there shouldn't be, if you've already given a decision, then that's fine. But remember, the decision should not be delayed because of the istikhara for more than 7 days is what my point is. But if you're going to carry on doing istikhara, but your decision is not delayed, then that's fine.
Can Muftī Sahib please talk about how to make a marriage fulfilling? Also, when to call it quits when children are involved. I think this will come in future.
This is going to come as we go along. I don't know if we'll get to that last stage, but if we do another session, then inshallah we'll get to that.
Is the 7 days regarding istikhara advised by our elders, or is this 7 days derived from the sunnah?
It's derived from what the muhaddithun have mentioned under the istikhara chapters.
Barakallahu feekum.
And what was the first question again? There was some point there. I forgot what it was.
First question, sir?
Yeah, just remind me of the first question that we asked.
The first question I asked was, in terms of dress code, is it okay to wear whatever so long as it's covering? Was that about
that? Yeah, I said to make an effort, right? There was some point there somewhere. Okay, anyway. Okay, we move on, yes?
if you don't mind, can Muftī Sahib mention some du'as that a person can read if one is looking for a spouse at the end or when convenient?
Yeah, so that's a good point actually. There's a dua from the Quran we see, رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. That's a dua for prospective spouse as well as a dua for children. That will inshallah enable you to have children inshallah as well. So رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. I think these are du'as that we'll have to write down and maybe send out to something. But I didn't write down any du'as here, but yeah, so that's one du'a. If people know that, then you can have that one. And there's also other du'as. Yes, رَبِّ لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ is a du'a of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and which was the initial stage of him eventually getting married to the daughter of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wasalam, right?
Okay.
So that's another dua as well. Rabbi lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. Rabbi lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. This is a general, very powerful dua for a lot of need, any need you have. And then there's also the standard du'as for Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yun. So obviously this dua as well is there.
Okay. If you have found someone practicing, I think we'll leave it in this last question, inshallah. If you found someone practicing and character, but not so much looks, should you still go for it if it has most priority?
If you find somebody in character?
So if you found someone practicing and with good character, but
not so much
with looks, should you still go for it?
So that's a very that's a thing where you can't say it's a right or a wrong, meaning you can't give a blanket ruling there. I mean, this one I've had many people ask this question to me over the years. The way I normally tell people is that you have to work out how much looks matter to you. How much does it matter to you the way a person looks, or is it that no, character matters more to me? So then, if that person has a brilliant character, then you could fall in love with their character. But there has to be somewhat an attraction, is what I say, or they have to be likable. That will inshallah grow. The more you fall in love with their character, the more inshallah that you will grow to love that person, however they look. So that's something. Oh, the thing I remembered before I forget was regarding heavy perfume. Okay. Yeah, I think if some people put up the the du'as or something, right? Yeah, jazakumullah. So there is actually a hadith here as well that's I've been pointed out to, that in which it mentions the 7 days. The 7 days of istikhara is actually mentioned in a hadith as well. Jazakumullah khairan. And so that's that. What else is there? So yeah, I was talking about scent, but I think that this is another point that is going to go into a lengthy thing. But don't apply too much perfume, as I would say. I mean, I can't say don't apply perfume at all, because people will say that I need to apply perfume. But you can read up on this yourselves later on, maybe. But we all have a natural scent. Every human, we all have natural scent to us. I'm not talking about odor. I'm talking about natural scent. Okay, so everyone has a natural scent. And if you're already married to somebody and you're mashallah like your partner a lot, then you will understand what I'm talking about. You can smell them inshallah, and their scent is something that you can the fragrance you can smell even after they've gone. You know that your partner's been sitting here, or your partner's been here, or you can smell them in their cardigan or in their jumper or in their coat or something. You can still smell their fragrance, their scent. So scent is something that attracts us. This is something that that is widely used in products as well. Like certain things are very heavily scented. So you have like a cheese and onion Walker's crisp. I'm sure everyone knows about. You open the Walker's crisp and you can smell that somebody's having a Walker's cheese and onion in the room. You walk into the room, you can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? It's not like the crisp has been cooked or baked there and then that is giving off a smell, but it's that smell that enhances the flavor so much, and that's why the Walkers taste much better than, for example, something else that would be probably equally in terms of their flavor. But the taste becomes much more enjoyable. Hopefully people understand. Yeah, Jazakumullah for these du'as. So you got the du'as that I mentioned. Some people have, mashallah, posted on the chat so people can have that. So yeah, the scent, as I was saying, that you want to also, you know, even animals, right? Even in animals, they have, they attract each other through their scent. So they'll spread their scent in certain areas, and they'll know that this is the scent of my, you know, scent of so and so person. So yeah, that's something that we need to take a note of, you can say. Okay, I think we've covered that topic quite a lot in detail regarding pre-marriage. I think it's due that we move on.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay. So living a happy married life, which is everything everyone wants, right? Everyone wants this. So how do you enable this? Firstly, understand that the ingredients have been given to us in the Quran already. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, the Quran is a guide for every single part of our life. And Allah says, and from his signs, which I read earlier on, from his signs is that he created for you spouses from yourselves. So within yourselves, meaning male, you know, humans for humans kind of things from yourselves, so that you may find peace therein. So you find peace in your spouse. This is the main thing, right? That you have sukoon, you have litaskunu ilayha, that you go to your spouse and you will find comfort with them. So you had a hectic day today, you came home and you see your spouse and you see that smile on their face, or you receive a hug from them, or you know, some loving, caring words towards you, and it just wipes away all that burden from your shoulders. And that's what your spouse needs to become. And if you are not that person, you need to try to become that person for your partner. And this is the main thing. This is how you lead to this happy married life, really, in a nutshell. So this is what we're looking for. And how do you maintain that? Allah says, and he placed between you affection and mercy. So this affection and this mercy are two qualities which Allah has already placed between us, right? So from day one, we already have this love, this affection, this love that we have, and this mercy. So we have that from day one. And our job is to, because Allah says he placed this between us already, and that's that honeymoon period we talk about, right? And our job is to maintain that, which we'll talk about later, inshallah. So this is breaking down this verse. We understand that this is what we're looking for. As humans, we're looking for this peace. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for comfort. Which human in the world is not looking for that? Some people look for peace, for comfort in money. They think that having a big, you know, a big bank balance, a lot of money will bring this. Some people in a nice paid job, and some people in a nice big bungalow, nice house. Some people in a nice house, a nice car, whatever it is. People are looking for peace, comfort, and that tranquility of life in different things. And Allah is telling us that this is something that will give you peace, and you need to become that partner. And how you're going to do that is these two qualities: love and this mercy, this affection and mercy, which will give you that, inshallah. So this is the first thing that we need to understand, that Allah has created within us. There's a lot there, but inshallah we move on. So the first thing is, what do men seek? I mean, men seek a lot of things. I'm just going to break it down to one thing. Men seek one thing. One of the biggest things is respect. I mean, I'm sure those who are married will understand. The comments that you get is that you just don't respect me. I mean, many times when people say this, yeah, you don't respect me, you don't have no respect. So you're thinking, what do you mean by that? So this is something that men seek. They crave respect because that makes them feel like a man. They're being respected like that. So it's quite simple. The psychology behind this is that the men seek that respect. Now, if a man doesn't get this, then it will lead to problems in a marriage. That's obvious, that you're looking for respect. So this is something that we need to understand, that we need to offer this if you're looking for a happy married life. If you're not going to give that respect, then you can't blame anybody else but yourself, that you're not giving that respect. You're not going to get that happily married life. So that is something very important. And then what a woman seeks is generally security. You know, she came from a house, meaning she came from her father's house, where that was her safe sanctuary. That was her her place that she can seek comfort and be secure in, you know, her needs and everything was looked after there. Now she leaves that for this man when she gets married to him. When she leaves that, then she needs that support in her husband, because she's leaving that security behind, because obviously she's going to be assuming that my husband will give me that security like my father gave me. So if you're not going to be that figure, that giving, that supporting figure, just as the father would have this mercy that we had, the father would have mercy on his daughter. If you're not going to do that as a husband, then you're going to have problems, because you're not giving the wife that support that she needs, that security that she needs. And what does that security mean? Support her in times of difficulty. When she's been wronged, for example, then she needs backing. She needs that security. That's why sometimes, you know, somebody will say something, maybe even in the family, somebody will say something to her, and you would be just there, not saying anything. And then you're going to hear it afterwards as a husband. You're going to get it that you didn't say anything to back me. You didn't back me up or anything like that. But you're going to get that. Why? Because this is something that she needs. She needs that support. She needs that security. She needs to feel that her husband has her back. And if she doesn't feel that, then you're looking at something which is a problem, isn't it? You're not offering something that she needs. So this is two major aspects, you would say, respect for the man and security for the woman, that needs to be provided. Okay. Then women, what do they normally complain about? Women often complain about the husband not giving enough time. He doesn't give me enough time. And he's always out. He spends more time with his friends, or he's just working all the time, or whatever else. He doesn't give me enough time. Even when he's at home, he's just on his computer, or he's just on his TV, or he's just on his phone all the time. And he's there, but he's not really there. So that's the general complaint of a woman, which men need to be aware of, that you need to give time. You need to spend a bit of time with your partner. Which we'll talk about. So just understand this common complaint. And a common complaint that men have is that she's always nagging, she's always complaining, and that's all she does. I just come home. As soon as I come home, first thing I hear it. The first thing is that she's complaining. Already starts. And the reason I mentioned these two things is because these are very common complaints of men and of women. But we have to understand that both of these go hand in hand. It's the cycle, isn't it? The reason why, for example, the reason why a man may not want to spend, you know, this woman says that he doesn't spend enough time with me, he's out with his friends all the time, and he comes home so late, is probably because this is happening, isn't it? Because the household is not an environment which the husband wants to come home to. Or you can say, that's one perspective to look at it. From the other perspective is that because he's not spending time with her, that's why she's complaining. So she's complaining all the time. Man saying that she's complaining all the time. But think about why she's complaining. She's complaining because you're not giving her enough time, right? And in the same way, from the woman's perspective, think about it, that why is it that he's not spending enough time? It's probably because I'm complaining all the time. I'm just so negative. I'm nagging all the time. So I need to cut down on that maybe. So we both need to understand, men and women, we both need to understand that it goes hand in hand. And it takes two hands to clap, takes two to tango. And it's not always what we shouldn't be always looking at it from a selfish point of view, whereby we're looking at it that what am I not being given? Rather say, what should I offer? What should I be doing? So a selfless attitude will go a long way. So the man doesn't give time, so the woman complains all the time. And so the man feels even more that he shouldn't be spending time. And same with the other perspective, as I explained all the time already. So this is something that we need to be aware of. This is common complaints, but we need to understand what our role would be in this. But remember these two main things here, respect and security, which is what men and women crave. Now, living a happy married life, continuing on to understand. So then what would be the solution to all of this is life would be better if you simply lay down your arms. Lay down your arms. Don't be stubborn and say, no, why should I be the one that says sorry all the time? Be the one to say sorry. It shouldn't be that one partner is always saying sorry. That's something which we'll obviously talk about later, and then what to do about that. But we shouldn't be like, don't let the ego play a part and, just lay down your arms, because at the end of the day, when you're the one who says sorry, it will make your life easier. It'll make your life better. So at the end of the day, you're doing something which will make your own life better. So sometimes do it. Do that extra thing that you may need to do. Empathize with your spouse. Empathy is very, very important in trying to live a life. So try understand from their point of view, whatever they're mentioning, understand it from their point of view. If you can't do that, then know that they must have a point. Unless you're telling me that your spouse is somebody insane, completely mad or something, right? They just can't think straight or something like that. But otherwise, generally people, they have their way of thinking. It's just that you're not understanding that way of thinking. So sometimes understanding from their point of view, and maybe you're not explaining your point of view properly, and that's why they're not understanding you. So you need to think of somehow explaining your point of view in a different way. So then they can understand what you're trying to say, and then you can move forward with any points that you have to discuss. So empathy is quite important there. One thing that we need to understand is that this is a concept thing. Inshallah, this concept will be understood after a few more understandings. So we have men are driven by desire for women, obviously. It's just that if you understand it in a crude way, then this is one thing that drives a man to like his wife, which is the desire that he has towards her. And obviously, this is the greatest trial, as we know from the Ḥadīth, of Rasulullah. The greatest trial for the man is the woman. So the desire that a man has in a woman, it drives the man. It keeps the man going, meaning it keeps the man in that marriage. It keeps him interested. That's something that we need to really understand. A woman, she is more like, so women are dependent on men for expenditure. One is the expenditure. There's more than that, but one is the expenditure. And hence, when that dependency in the marriage is only on one side, so you have one-sided dependency, meaning this dependency that a man has towards the wife, which is the desire he has in her. But then whereby the man needs the woman, but she does not need him anymore. So she doesn't need him because she earns enough. And then, so this causes an imbalance. And often this leads to problems because she doesn't need him anymore. So she thinks that, why do I need him? And she has no reason to stay in that marriage anymore. So there is something we're trying to understand here. This is why it is a necessary duty on the man to provide his wife expenditure. Now understand this. Why I'm saying this is for men to then understand what your duty is, because men often don't fulfill this duty. And also for women to understand why it's important to have this cycle. We have this cycle in marriage. It's a perfect circle, as I say. This perfect circle between husband and wife is formed as a marriage, isn't it? So you have a man and a woman, they come together and it's a 50-50 partnership. And in that 50-50 partnership, it forms a full circle in the form of a marriage. And that's what we're looking at here, this marriage here. And this marriage will be a happy marriage if this circle is formed fully. It's a full circle. That full circle will be by this. A woman is dependent on the man, not dependent, I'm talking about. I'm using that term, maybe don't look at that term in a negative term. Dependent on the man, meaning in terms of the way that Sharia has said for the man to provide for the wife. What we mean by that is whether the wife is financially stable or not. It doesn't matter whether the wife has her own money or not. The man still has to provide her shelter, still has to provide her food, still has to provide her clothing, has to provide all of this. He still has to provide all of this. Doesn't matter if she has her own money. And put it this way, who is the single most important person in your life? Your mother, right? For a man, especially, the mother is the most important person in their life, the one that they should be looking after the most. Now, even the mother, who is the most important person in your life, if she has her own money, then you do not have to give her money. You do not have to give her expenses. You do not have to give her shelter, no clothing, no food, because she will spend her own money on herself. That's for even the mother. But the wife, you have to provide her regardless. It doesn't matter if she's got millions of pounds of her own, you still have to give her food, shelter, and clothing and everything else. So what is Sharia trying to say here is a question that we need to analyze. What is Sharia giving a concept of? Because Sharia is saying that there is this, what we're trying to say, that the woman, she will have this need of that security, like we explained, that need to have somebody there, a partner there, and the man needs to play that role and needs to offer this support, this financial support that he will have. That needs to be there, and that's his thing that he needs to fulfill. And then on the other side, the man will be driven through his desire. So what keeps the man in this marriage? What keeps the man in this marriage is the desire for his wife. And what keeps the woman in this marriage is not just the financial dependency, which we'll talk about later. This is an example of it, because obviously this can play a negative part as well, which I recognize, that if she is heavily dependent on his finance, then she may be in an abusive marriage and she will still be stuck. She will have to stay there, which is wrong, which is not something we're trying to promote here. We're just trying to understand a Shar'i concept. What is Sharia doing here when Sharia is saying that you need to provide things, we need to provide all this nafaqah, as we say, for the wife. So what do you do in providing? It means that you're fulfilling your duty and your side of the bargain, in a sense, and keeping the wife interested in staying in this marriage. And at the same time, the wife is keeping the man interested by in this way. So this is the basic, as I can explain. It's very important to understand that concept. And once we understand that concept, we can understand our roles as well, inshallah, and the rights, because people are going to ask about that, right? So now, putting a third person in the picture is the mother-in-law, right? Now, understand this. The mother also has needs. Isn't a mother, any mother, you know, everyone's mothers, they have, every human has needs. Now, the mother, she has cared for this, let's just put the son into the picture. Yeah, I'm just going to perspective of the boy, of the son. So she's cared for her son for 20, 23, 25, whatever years. She's cared for him. She's been the one that, you know, changed his nappies and, you know, changed him, dressed him, clothed him, washed him, you know, cleansed and cleaned his nose when, you know, everything, you name it. The mother did everything. Yes, she stayed awake nights. Not to say that the father didn't do anything, but just to say that the mother is the one that focus is on, isn't it? The mother does so much, mashallah. Allah give her jazaa'ul khair for this. And that's the reason why mother had 3 times the status in the hadith, we understand. So the mother, no doubt, she does so much. And as the son grows older, now he's going to get to a marriage age as well. Still till now, the mother is washing the clothes for the son, maybe even ironing, you know, cooking food for the son, everything. Now the day comes where the son now gets married, and the son, his primary focus now becomes the wife. Natural feeling inside us humans will be this sense of, I did everything and I've just been put aside now. Yeah, call it jealousy, whatever you want, but it's that natural feeling in us humans that there's going to be a sense of you know, loss, of some sort of loss that you're going to feel. So what happens now? That animosity towards that person who has been the means of this will naturally be there, which is the daughter-in-law. And this is, like I said to you, this is not, I'm talking in general format. I'm not talking about every single person here. Many, mashallah, many mothers-in-laws are, mashallah, great. I'm talking about in a general sense, because there's a common understanding that we have that there's problems between daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law. So just to explain where this comes from, the concept of where this comes from. So we understand that there's going to be animosity now, naturally, towards that daughter-in-law, because she's kind of taking the place of the mother, becoming that most important person in the son's life now. So what Sharia did was telling the man, Sharia tells the man that no, you carry on, because the most important person in your life is still your mother. You still carry on looking after your mother. So the son still needs to, so then there's a need from the mother-in-law, mother's point of view, which is that she needs that you know, that attention, or you would say, or that understanding from the son that you are the most important person in my life. Okay, it doesn't have to necessarily say it, but she feels that my son still regards me to be very important in his life. So what will happen? That need of the mother is looked after. Then there's a need for the man. So we're looking at from the mother-in-law's need is that she needs the son to care and to show that attention. So the Sharia said, okay, you care for your mother. Then the son, the person in the middle now, he needs his needs to be fulfilled, which is the desires that he has. So the desire are being fulfilled by what? Telling the wife that you look after you. The most important person for you is your husband. And hence we have that famous hadith that if there was anybody that I was to tell to prostrate, I was going to tell the woman to prostrate in front of, it would have been her husband, showing you that that's how important the husband is to you, that you would have to even prostrate to him. But obviously prostration is only for Allah. So the idea here is standing that the wife, she is being told something by Sharia. Why? Is to fulfill that need that the husband has. And then the husband is told to fulfill that need that his mother will have, the mother-in-law, the picture in essence. And then the full circle will be formed by the man also being told to fulfill his duties towards his wife in the form of giving her that security and everything else. So what happens now? There's full circles happening here, and there's harmony in the household. So that's what we're looking at here, that understand that there are different people in the picture and what we need to do to maintain that. So it's not very difficult. It's something very simple when you strip off all the flesh and you look at the skeleton, then you will see that this is the, inshallah, this is the picture we're looking at. So just to how to maintain this balance is, Allah says in the Quran about the men are caretakers in essence. Yeah, Rijalu Qawwam. Qawwam, one understanding of the Qawwam is he's the caretaker. He's the one who looks after. So caretakers of women. So a caretaker will obviously demand certain respect. Okay, not like a caretaker of school. We're talking about caretaker in terms of like being the one in charge, being the one who is, the one who's in charge. Qawwam. So it's a famous verse. Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa. So the men, they are the ones that take care of women in essence, right? They're ones that are in charge of their women. Now, why? Allah says, بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. So it's because Allah has given virtue to one over another. What it means that Allah has given virtue to the men over the women. In what? What is it that men have a virtue over women in? I mean, many people have taken this in a very negative light, but we can clearly say, which without any dispute, that on a general sense, this is the physical side that a man has. So a man obviously is physically stronger than a woman in a general sense. I'm talking, I know that, mashallah, some of the sisters may be very, very strong. And we're not talking about that. We're talking on a general sense here. Across the board in the world, we have men who will be stronger than women. So this is bima faddallahu, this virtue that's been given to men over the women. So what is that strength? That strength is then utilized. He's been given this for a reason, because he has to then utilize that. And if Allah is talking about it in the perspective of marriage here, then that means he's going to have to use that strength that he has to offer that security and that financial stability and everything else that he needs to offer by working and all sorts of things. So this is what we're talking about here. And the second thing is, and because what they spend on their wealth. So this is the physical need that's there for the wife. The physical need meaning that security that is there, that is being mentioned over here. بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. And then the second thing, which is وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا, and for what they spend from their wealth. So this is the second thing. There's two things here in the verse that then mean that a man is able to be this caretaker. The man the caretaker, like I said, demands the respect, and that's what we said from the beginning, that men demand respect. So how are you gonna attain that respect? Is by giving these two things that the Quran has mentioned to the wife. So we can understand there are two things that the verse is telling us, that the man, for the man to have respect from his wife, to earn that respect from the wife, which is very important. You can't demand respect from the wife. You have to earn that respect from the wife. And that is done by, he needs to provide physical security and also financial security. And that's what we're learning here. This bima faddala Allahu ba'dahum ala is the strength. So that's the physical security. and because he's going to spend on her through his wealth, and that's the financial security which Allah is talking about in this verse. And them two things, if you do them two things, necessarily the woman will understand you to be her caretaker, and then she will respect you as a caretaker. So you want that respect, you have to earn that respect, is what we're trying to say here. Okay, so now, since in our times, obviously, this physical security somewhat is diminished, whereby obviously women earn, and therefore this physical security, which have to maybe transfer a little bit onto some sort of verbal security and some sort of backing, that she knows that my husband is there, my husband's always there for me. So that needs to be offered, and obviously the financial security that can be continued, that will maintain even in this time. So if both these matters are not present, or if one of them are not present, then a woman will be unable to maintain respect for her husband. It's simple. The respect will not be able to be maintained. So to ensure that a man doesn't take advantage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has emphasized that a marriage, because then obviously we're looking at here that he'll take advantage and use these as leverages to demand things of her, or to even maybe oppress her. So to ensure that this doesn't happen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes time and time again in the verses of marriage, keep taqwa. I mean, every verse in the marriage khutbah is all about taqwa, and it's constant throughout the ayat, the verses of even separation, where Allah talks about if you're going to separate, then it's all about taqwa. Yeah, Surah Al-Talaq is full of وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ constantly. So we can see that the man is instructed of keeping that fear of Allah, and this is how we keep that. We're talking about a happy married life. So now, just to give a visual of what we're talking about here to make things easier. So we see here the emotional needs that the wife has. So this is something that the husband has to provide. Husband provides this emotional needs that the wife will have. The wife will provide this physical needs. Now, physical needs are huge for the man, right? And hence the need of marrying more than one, which we're not going to talk about now, but the needs are obviously quite great. So the wife needs to provide these physical needs, which she is doing. She's doing in this example, she's doing everything, but he's not providing he's providing only the emotional needs only. He's not providing, meaning financially, he's not providing her. So it becomes an imbalanced marriage, where she feels she's doing a lot more than what he's doing, and he's not really doing his part. He's not fulfilling his role. Then it leads to problems. Another example, imbalanced marriage, where husband is providing everything now. He's providing his financial the needs of the wife, and emotional needs of the wife. He's providing all of this, but the wife only provides here and there physical needs, or in fact, in many cases, like I can't tell you the amount of cases I've dealt with of men going on for like a year without any physical needs being fulfilled. What's going to happen? He's going to carry on doing this, and he's not going to get any reason, any sort of enticement to continue doing this. So it's going to lead to problems in there. Both of them are going to lead to problems in their marriage. Why? Because she's not doing what she needs to do, and then he's maybe doing it, or he's maybe not doing it, or he's not being encouraged to do it. So there's no reason for him to continue. So this is what leads to problems in marriages. Now, how to maintain that? We have to look at from the Quranic way we can understand is a balanced marriage is exactly a happy marriage. So that's what we're talking about, how to attain a marriage which is happy. So how to do that is having a balanced marriage, not one-sided. So you've got financial needs and emotional needs being taken care of by the husband. He provides this. The physical needs on the other side are being provided for the amount that is needed by the wife. She's fulfilling the required amount. So you can see this two boxes are the same as this, and then it ends up in a balanced marriage. And a balanced marriage will then give us what you're craving. So this physical needs, the wife is providing physical needs, and she will get this. She will get the emotional needs and financial needs. If she's not getting it immediately, remember, it will happen. This process will take place. It'll happen. It'll get there. Eventually, it'll get to here where he will provide these, if you're providing these things. And what will that then mean? That the wife will then be able to respect the husband. So this is what will happen. And then on the other side, you have the emotional needs and financial needs of the husband. If he carries on providing this, then he will get this. He will get his physical needs being fulfilled. And then that would mean that the husband will be able to be affectionate and merciful towards the wife. He needs to do this. He needs to be merciful and affectionate, which we learn from the Quranic ayat. mawaddatan wa rahma. So that mawadda and rahma needs to be there. And then that respect that he craves, he is qawwam, and how he's going to gain that, he needs to offer these two. So this is Quranic concept. If you understand, this 2 verses of the Quran is summarized in this picture here, in this thing. Hopefully everyone understands this graphic and makes it really understood to what we're talking about here. Okay, everybody, make sure this is in a nutshell, this is how you maintain a happy married life from those 2 Quranic verses. It's not concepts I'm telling you from my pocket. It's obviously something that's coming from the Quranic ayat after analysis of these 2 verses which Allah has mentioned to us. So yeah, take this seriously, as we would say. At the end of the day, remember one thing. Look, just to understand, look, the key thing is that we see a circle. Where is the start point of a circle? Nowhere, is there? Start point of a circle be anywhere you want to place it. So if you are, for example, the husband, and you want this is your goal, you want this, you want that respect, you crave these things, you want them. So then if you want this happily married life, start it off from your point. You can only control your actions, as I mentioned yesterday. So control your actions and do what you need to do, fulfill that. Then inshallah, this circle will continue, will follow. In the same way, from the wife's perspective, you want this, you want that affection and that mercy towards you, you want that your needs be fulfilled. Then start doing this and stop using these things as excuses. Stop using this as a leverage tool to maybe win one over him or something like this. It's just not worth it. It's just, you won't gain anything out of it but heartache, and it's your life that will be a misery. So you don't want your life to be misery. Then you need to learn to do these things. We need to understand that this is what Allah is asking from us in the Quran. Partnership is exactly what it is. It's a partnership. It's not one-sided. It's balanced. It's 50-50. The roles may be different, yeah, and that's something that we can look at later. Right. So how to provide their needs? Yes. So we're looking at now, how are we going to provide these needs? So physical needs will be fulfilled by making an effort for each other. So we're talking both. Obviously, we're not just saying, I know we heavily focused on the man's physical needs, but it's obvious that a woman also has physical needs. It's not like the woman doesn't have physical needs. So we need to make an effort for each other. And then also with that comes appreciating the partner's efforts. So you can see that your partner got dressed up for you. You can see that your partner had a trim for you, maybe. You can see your partner's, combed their hair for you, or whatever else, put a bit of perfume on for you. Give a comment. Oh, that's quite nice. I like that perfume. Or I like the way I like the way you're dressed today. Just giving you look nice. Just giving a small comment there. What does that do? It makes all that effort that they went through worthwhile. It makes it noticed. I know that what generally happens is, I can't keep saying it every day. It becomes cheesy. It becomes like something, why would I say it? It becomes something, no, you have to. It's something that you would say a different word, give a different, sometimes giving a hug, or sometimes doing a handshake, sometimes giving a peck on the cheek, or whatever it may be, doing different things, sometimes saying a word, sometimes sending a text message, different things, different gestures of this appreciation needs to be adopted. But why? Because appreciation in marriage from partners is what keeps each other going, is what makes your partner make that little bit more effort for you. And if you want that, to continue, you're going to have to show this appreciation, not just think the appreciation. So yeah, I do appreciate them. You're going to be like most people. I say that you're not appreciating them, then they'll respond by saying, no, I do appreciate them. But when was the last time you actually told them you appreciated them, or showed them that you appreciated them? So it's important to express that appreciation to one another. And this is, we're talking about when we talk about the effort that is made. Ibn Abbas in fact mentions that I dress nicely, and I dress nicely for my wife. I do it. Why? Because I want to look good for my wife. So we're understanding that this is a concept right from the time of Sahaba radiallahu anhum, that they would be encouraged by Rasulullah himself, and to make an effort for the partner. So this is important to understand this as well. Then remember one thing that I want to make clear to obviously women, that when we talk about intimacy, physicality, then a lot of times women say that, is that all it's about for a man? Is that all it is? It's such an animalistic quality. That's all he is. That's all he wants all day. That's nothing like that. Remember one thing, this is a manly way of showing that love to the wife. So physicality is a way that the husband expresses and shows his love. Understand that. The minute you reject that from him, you're rejecting his love, and that's how he will feel. So remember one thing, that sometimes, I know that this happens, that you may not be in the mood or whatever, that the onus in that time will be, the onus obviously in intimacy and approach will be the man's. He'll have to make sure that his wife is in the mood, and he gets her in the mood. If she is not in the mood, or if the wife is being rejected by the husband, then she needs to try and get him in that mood, and then there will be no rejection. Otherwise, when there's a feeling of rejection from either spouse, what happens? You are rejecting their love, their expression of love, and this is something which we need to understand, which then creates a lot of problems. In fact, there's books written on this, but we don't have time to go into it now. Physical needs will not be fulfilled by using it as a weapon of leveraging tool, which I mentioned. So the physical needs, let's just use the example of the man, right? So the man, that he has the physical needs, he goes to his wife and she uses it as a weapon, because maybe she said, last time they had an argument, they said, next time come to me, I'll show you. That's what she thought in her head. Yeah, next time come to me, I'll show you. So the next time he does come, she shows him, she says, she rejects him, right? So she rejects this approach. Well, when she rejects this approach, she will at that time maybe even feel good about it. That, yeah, I got you now, isn't it? I got you, right? I got you there. Now you feel in it. So she may even feel that at that time, because she's using it as a weapon, that temporary satisfaction may be achieved. She's using it as a leveraging tool for her to get certain things off him. But sometimes using it as a leverage tool will not be always wrong. Remember that. Yeah, but weapon, yeah, it's going to be something which is not correct. Now what happens? Remember, you reject him, but the desire doesn't go away. The need for that physical need, it doesn't go away. It doesn't take away the physical need. Rather, it just makes the husband turn to other avenues. And that's what will happen eventually. At that moment in time, you may have got that satisfaction, short-term satisfaction, that, yeah, I showed him who's boss, in essence, right? But when it comes to later on in life, when you find out other things, then who's hurt then is the question. It's obvious that the woman will now get hurt, because the man will, I'm not justifying what he will do then. He will be turning to other avenues, and this is not justified. This is obviously, I'm talking about haram avenues that he will then turn to. But the reality of the matter is that he does then turn to other matters. Why? Understand that this need, it doesn't go away. Just because you rejected him, the physical need is still there. So he's just going to vent in other ways. So that's the problem. So don't become stubborn at this time is the question, is the thing, because you end up hurting your own selves. Understand what you are doing. Financial needs will be fulfilled from the man's perspective. He needs to fulfill by spending and spending on and fulfilling the wife's rights. So the rights need to be fulfilled, and emotional needs would be fulfilled by being open to conversation and supporting her in difficulty. So, whenever she needs to discuss something, or whenever you need to discuss something, as from the man's perspective, then you need to be able to open in conversation, and also supporting each other in difficulty. But these are two main things that we looked at as a woman's needs, and this is the man's needs. How they will be fulfilled, we've talked about. So, so that's that in fulfilling. Now, how to maintain that lifelong honeymoon period is what we're talking about, right? Yeah. So yes.
Can we pause question?
Yes.
Just a couple of questions. So regarding financial dependency, what if this is leading to what if this is leading to financial abuse?
Is it torture?
I'm sorry. Regarding financial dependency, what if this is heading towards financial abuse?
Yeah, so that's why I said it there, that if it's leading to abuse, it shouldn't be happening. That means this circle isn't being fulfilled properly, isn't it? And what to do in these kind of scenarios is what we're going to be talking about in conflict resolution. So how to solve these problems. Here we're just talking about ideal life, yeah? Ideal life, how to live an ideal life and how to live a happy life in a practical sense, because we've just talked about this is all practical stuff. This is things that the wife can do, and this is what things that the man can do. So this is proactive, being active and doing these things. We're not talking about if these things are not there. If these things are not there, we're going to have to talk about that in conflict, yes? So that will be discussed in the later slides, inshallah, okay?
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. That was it.
Okay. So because what it is, we need to understand a positive outlook first. We need to look at what we should do. Don't look at what's not happening. Because the minute we get bogged down in life at, oh, but this is not happening though. If you keep looking at that, things will never happen, because you will never make the first step and your partner will never make a first step. Nobody will move. It's be stalemate. You just be playing a tug of war. Let's see who lets go first. So we need to be positive. We need to have a positive outlook in life and think that, okay, you know what? In order to attain this, I know what I need to do. I need to do this. It's been broken down for me. It's been explained to me in black and white. We can see it clearly what I need to do. So we know what we need to do. Let's start doing it. It's as simple as that. Because the minute you start doing things positively, you will see a positive effect of that. And that's what we're looking at here, okay? And that's the reason of me going through it in this manner. And so now maintaining this lifelong honeymoon period. Many people are under this impression that a honeymoon period lasts a little while. Yes, intense, you would say, that desire to be with one another and everything else maybe lasts a little while, but a honeymoon period should not last only a little while. It should be a lifelong, something that is lifelong, a honeymoon period. Why? Because that will give you an enjoyable life. Now, how to do that, we're going to, inshallah, try to understand. So Allah says from the signs, and he created this verse that we talked about, he created you from yourselves, and he created these two qualities, this love, affection, and mercy, is what we talked about already, guys. Now, this verse tells us that affection and mercy are already present, that we talked about. They're already there, right? These two, Allah says, he placed between you, he placed already between you. So this is already there in the beginning of marriage, yes? Which are the defining ingredients of a honeymoon period. What's the defining ingredient of a honeymoon period? Is these two, affection and mercy. What we mean by that is, so upon us is to maintain these two qualities, and then maintain the honeymoon period. It's as simple as that. So how do you maintain a honeymoon period? By maintaining these two qualities. Why? Is because if you understand this, right, initially, you know, when you get married to your partner, you know, the bad traits that you start to notice maybe 6 months later after the honeymoon period, you know, these bad traits that you find in them. These bad traits were always in them, weren't they? These bad qualities were always in that partner. But what is it that masked these bad qualities of that they were in them? Was your love for them, your desire for them, your affection, your mercy towards them. That enabled you to mask their faults. Every single one of us have faults. We all have defects, right? We're humans. What enables us to mask the defects of another person is our affection towards that person, our love for that person. If you have, for example, a teacher, like I said, you have a teacher, and that teacher, you like them a lot, you love them a lot, all their blemishes will be masked. Anything they do, in fact, if they do something suspect, that you will come up with an excuse for as well. So, you know, this is something that we need to bear in mind, that the reason why that honeymoon period is there at the beginning is simply because we are able to mask the faults. So during the honeymoon period, couples seem to have no problems. They get along perfectly fine. They're well, you know. And so imagine that things will always be like this. You know, that's how it is, isn't it? They get along, and they're going to imagine that, isn't it? Now, when the problems do begin, when the first problem, imagine the first problem occurs. So there's a sudden shock to the system. It's a sudden shock because you never expected that, because you expected this, you had this image that you will always have this perfect life, like that honeymoon time. And you may even feel that you've got married to a wrong person, like I explained, or you're incompatible. You're not compatible with this person. The reality of the matter is that the problems were also occurring during the honeymoon period, but it's just that during the honeymoon early stages, the couple were naturally overlooking many of the defects of their spouse and letting them pass due to the new marriage and that affection and love they have for one another at the initial stages. So that's something we need to ponder over and just try to maintain. When the initial excitement dies down, as the defects of the spouse come to the fore and they start viewing these, then the problems start to appear. Now, to combat this, what we need to do is have an approach during the honeymoon period, and which is to overlook the defaults. To have that approach of the honeymoon period all throughout your life, that overlook the defects and focus on positives. Positive qualities is very important to focus on during your life. Don't expect that you will never have problems or compare to other married couples, because the grass is no greener on the other side. It's not like you think that, oh, they've got a happy life. They're always so they're always going out together. They're always doing things together, and I don't have that. Remember, there are faults and there are problems in every marriage. It's just couples learn to ignore those little faults and to move on and to use the positives and focus on the positives, and that's why they have a happy life. Remember that just as you have defects, so does your spouse, and the first problem, when it does occur, it will become magnified. The first problem that occurs, it will be magnified because you would not have expected it. So because it's against your expectation, that problem becomes huge. It becomes a bigger problem than actually it may be. So this is a mindset that that creates this problem. So be prepared for inevitable. It's inevitable that you're going to have disagreement. Doesn't have to be a massive disagreement. Doesn't have to be an argument where you're shouting and maybe even cursing one another or anything. You're going to have times when they're going to be, where problems will occur. And then what you do is be prepared for that and have an action plan. And that's what we're inshallah going to go through, having some sort of action plan of what to do. Don't build false expectations, okay, which you can't maintain. Obviously, if you can't maintain, so don't build a false expectation that, for example, you're just going out every week, or you're doing something every time for that person. Then what happens? You can't maintain that. And if you can't maintain it, you're going to have problems because you're not doing it anymore. And remember that Quranic ayat is the vital ayat here, which will give us everything we've discussed so far. Is Allah says, "Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun." So they are your garment and you are a garment for them. It's as simple as that. Understand your partner like that they are your garment and you are a garment for them. Just as the garment will cover your faults, your defects. You have got some rash, skin rash, whatever you have. You've got some problems. Your clothing, your garment will cover that. In exactly the same manner, your partner will cover your defects, not the one that will highlight your defects. Unfortunately, nowadays, partners are the ones that are highlighting defects, and this is leading to many problems. And so we shouldn't be like that. We should be people who are covering our partner's defects, overlook it, work together to improve one another, and that's the way to work here. Okay. There are some final points on these practical steps and things, and then inshallah we'll come to an end for this session. I think most people have chosen to have another session. Is that right?
Yes, Muftī sir, that's right.
So we'll just have some practical steps, inshallah. So one thing I say is that don't call each other by first name. I mean, this advice I gave you, it doesn't mean that you have to stick by it. It's just advice at the end of the day. Over the years of experience about what happens with couples after analyzing, when you call each other by first name, what happens is, before you get married, there is a certain level of respect that's already there. There's a level of respect that's between the two of you. You need to maintain a certain level of that respect, not to be formal. Nobody's saying that you become formal in your relationship with your husband or with your wife, but you need to have a maintenance of certain respect. If you lose respect for one another completely, what will end up happening is you will be able to curse one another quite easily. You can swear at one another, no problem. Why? Because you have no respect for that person. You can, badmouth them, and you can do whatever else. You can do all sorts of bad things to that person because you have no respect for that person left. So the point I'm trying to make here is that try to maintain integrity, try to maintain some level of respect. So that's the thing, right? That's one of the reasons, as you see, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Aisha mentions that I never saw him bare, completely, fully bare, even though they were obviously husband and wife, but they never, even during intimacy, they would not become fully bare, because there's a level of respect that is still maintained. But it doesn't mean that it becomes a formal relationship. So it's something that you need to judge nicely, as you would say. So I would say that calling each other by first name, maybe think of it as an old-fashioned thought or something, right? Maybe a mentality from me, maybe that is, but that's something that I would say. Why? The justification I have of this is that the question I asked, that would you call your father by first name? You wouldn't. Why would you not call your father by first name? Because you have a level of respect for him, but you have love for him, you care for him. So you want that kind of, but you don't want to care for your husband like you do for your father. But what I mean is also that would you, in many cultures that you wouldn't call your older brother or older sister by first name as well. It would be deemed disrespectful to call your older brother or sister by first name. So the question is then, why is that? Because there is a concept there, isn't there, that calling somebody by their first name you will drop that level of respect. That level of respect will be that wall would have been that hurdle would have already been overcome. So that level of respect is no longer maintained, and then you're going to lead to things that may lead on to other things that then it'll be easier to curse one another and things like that. But if you don't call each other by name, then it's less likely that you're going to be transgressing and transcending those stages of disrespect, complete disrespect, which would be like cursing one another and things like that. So this is one of the reasons I say, obviously it's not necessary, but you can come up with loving names, is what I say, come up with caring addresses that you can call them by. And it doesn't have to be one thing that you call them by. You can have various things that you call them by. You can have a nickname, you can have a shortened name, like Rasulullah would call Aisha radiallahu anha, Aish, Ya Aish, like this. So, or you can call Ya Abdullah, like Prophet used to call certain wives of his, like this. So you have certain loving, caring ways of calling, because many people have mentioned this to me as well, that sometimes you come home and you have had this really hard, tough day, and you're in this tension, and then your husband just calls you, or just by saying, love, how are you, love? Or are you okay, love? Just by saying that one word, love, afterwards, yeah, it just takes a big weight off your shoulders. It just there's something happens, and this loving, caring address is needed to, as a practical step to try to maintain like we said, the honeymoon period. Avoid those matters which your spouse dislikes, and learn and adopt their likes. So if your spouse doesn't like you standing in a certain way, don't do it. Don't stand in that way. It's easy. Don't do it. If your spouse doesn't like you dressing in a certain way, don't do it. If your spouse likes certain things, then try to do it. Learn and adopt their likes. This effort is required to nurture your marriage. You need to do that. Nurturing your marriage is like nurturing a flower. So this is a very long example I give, but just in a nutshell, just like a person who would, let's say somebody's into their flowers, yeah, they buy this flower, they put it under the windowsill, and they really, that flower, they wake up first thing in the morning, they look at the flower and it puts a smile on their face. Yeah, that's the kind of flower it is. So what would that person do? Keep that flower, maintain it, right? You need to make sure you give water when you need to. You make sure you put it in the right amount of sunlight. You try to look after the flower as much as possible to make sure that it's going to be maintained. You can't simply buy the flower and put it on the windowsill and say that's it, it's going to be all okay. Just like people do, whether they get married and they think that's it, it's all okay now. I got married to her, I got married to him, and that's it. That's our married. No, you need to maintain that marriage. It's a constant effort that you need to make, though it may not be the biggest effort, but it's a small effort. Like the person has to pour a bit of water. That's it. Pour a bit of water. And the person that wants to do even more, because they want that flower to then give them even more, even more benefit and even more happiness, is that the person's going to get, maybe they're going to get, like, you get people that spray the leaves, even they wipe the leaves, they buy fertilizer, they buy food, they buy all sorts of things to give it even more life. They change the compost, they give fresh compost, they'll put it into a bigger tub, all sorts of things. So maintaining and looking after that, what will happen? That flower will continue to be that vibrant color. It will continue to give that fragrance. It will continue to be so when you look at it, you will feel like smiling. In the same way, marriage, you make that constant effort. The more effort you make, the more fruit you will see. And that fruit you will reap the benefits of. Remember that. Don't get bogged down into this understanding and this concept that I'm the one always making the effort. But you're making effort for yourself. Remember that. You're making effort for your own marriage here. You're not making effort for somebody else. So this is something we need to understand. So that will play a part. And whenever you meet each other, we should express happiness. The last time that you met your friend, you came across your friend, you're out and you came across your friend, and how do you meet your friend is a question. People meet how? They don't say "Assalamu alaikum" like that. No, you meet them. You say, "Oh, Assalamu alaikum, long time." You give them a handshake. You even give them a hug. Women will even give a peck on the cheek. This kind of meeting, greeting. When was the last time that somebody met their spouse in this way? That's the question. Anyone that's married here, when was the last time you actually met your spouse like that? Look at yourself and think that the way I feel joy and happiness at meeting my friend, when was the last time I met my spouse like that? I came home and I went to my spouse and I did a handshake. I gave him a hug. I gave him a peck on the cheek. I expressed the happiness on my face. When was the last time we did that? We don't do that. We come in, we do salam, and we'll just do a robot type salam. Salam that's to show that I'm here. Assalamu alaikum. That's it. Just to show that I'm here, I'm home. That's not the salam the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Afshu salama bainakum. You spread salam, and it will spread love. So these are things that we need to do. Just like when we meet old friends, you bring that positive vibe in our relationship as well. And learn, understand your partner, get to know their vibes and emotions. So you'll see that they're feeling in a certain way by the way they look, by the way they, get to learn from the vibes and the emotions that you can see from their face and things like that, and be proactive in addressing them. I can't express how vital this is. This is so important. That when your partner goes through a certain maybe chore or something, whatever it is that they have to do. Some people don't like ironing, right? So they have to do all the ironing for the kids, for example, right? So that by the end of the ironing, she's going to be worked up, or if he's doing it, then he's going to be worked up, and then I'm going to feel it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get something, right? So what you do, be proactive, and make sure you address, you offer help, you do things, to make that person happy and to make the partner happy. And you do that and you will feel the benefits of it yourself, inshallah. So saying something that will give them comfort, you understand me? Being there to comfort them, to being there to offer that consolence sometimes in the harder times. So these are things that we need to do. Now, further practical steps is choose the right time for your statements and actions. So, for example, sometimes people like to tease, and teasing does sometimes lead you into problems because you need to choose where you tease and when you tease. So teasing can be done, but only at the correct moment and in the measured manner. No, you don't start teasing on and on and on when you know that the person's getting irritated about it. So choose the right time, and for your statements that you make, for comments that you make, and for the things that you do. This is important as well. Send spontaneous messages. Sometimes, just randomly in the middle of the day, you're in your break and you send a message, "I love you." Just send a message, "I miss you." It doesn't have to be constant every time. Here and there, something. So it gives something. It keeps things fresh. and bring spontaneous gifts. It doesn't have to be something expensive that you bought. It could be something that you're walking along and there was I don't know, something, whatever it may be, a daffodil or something, and you picked it up and you brought it home for you. It doesn't have to be a whole bouquet of flowers. So sometimes the smallest things often are most effective. So it's spontaneous things that we're looking at here. It's a show of your appreciation, your love, and your care for both partners I'm talking about. So show appreciation. We talked about this as well. For things that your spouse does for you, this can be through by, this can be done by just by saying thank you for even the smallest things. And this will spread a very good vibe, saying thank you after a meal, especially when you have children. So when you say thank you to your wife for making the food, or if your husband has made food, then you say, thank you for making the food. It was so nice. I appreciate it. Then your children will learn something, that you should show appreciation to the person that did something for you. So this is a good tarbiyah as well. Anyway, and sending a nice text message sometimes, simply smiling when you meet. These are the things that you need to do. Doesn't have to be expensive gifts that you buy all the time. And then don't remind each other of things that you do and that you have done for one another, as it makes your spouse feel, belittled. It makes them feel as though, you just do things for, you think you're doing me a favor. Like many times, this is a common complaint of women, that the husband will do the house nicely, and then in an argument he'll say, but I did the house for you. And she'll be like, no, you didn't do the house for me, you did the house for us. So it's like constant reminder of things that he does for her, and or maybe she does for him. I do this for you, I do cooking and cleaning, I do everything for you. But why do you need to remind each other of the things when you're doing it sincerely and genuinely anyway? Why bring up those things? It just hurts, and you're just creating hurt for no reason. So these are things that we don't want to do. And accept that life after marriage is not the same as before marriage. You have to accept this. This is acceptance, a stage of acceptance that's needed. And you may be required to force a smile sometimes. Sometimes before marriage, right? Before you were married, when you were living at your own parents' house, you could come home in a stroppy mood, and you can go up to your room and you can do whatever you wanted. Nobody will say anything to you, like you're in a stroppy mood. But you can't do that anymore when you come to your husband's house, for example. You can't come home with a stroppy mood, because the people are going to start thinking you're, who are you and why are you doing this, and things like that. You may not have that support from the family there, maybe. So you have to sometimes force that smile after marriage to prevent problems occurring. So so that's why be productive, and that will be worthwhile, inshallah. The effort will be something worth your while. And this is it. I think we'll have to leave off somewhere here. We're just going to show you what we're going to, inshallah, do in the future. So we're looking at the major influences in maintaining this honeymoon period. We're looking at, so in a practical way, one is the finances, and we'll talk about that in detail. The other is intimacy, we've kind of talked a bit about, and then after children. These are the three main areas we want to cover as to the things that influence this honeymoon period majorly. So that, inshallah, we will move on to next time. And hopefully it's been something of benefit for everybody. And I think we're going to run out of a lot, or we're going to go over time a lot. So alhamdulillah, we've reached, I think one more session will do. I hope so anyway.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Those two questions.
Oh, yes.
What does Sharia say about the other needs of a man, such as the wife cooking and taking care of the household chores? Where does the Sharia come into this?
Well, if you're asking a Shar'i point of view, the Shar'i point of view is that this is not her duty. It's not her duty that she has to fulfill. But obviously, like I said, there are certain duties that a man doesn't have to fulfill as well. And if you live the life of just fulfilling each other's duties, what your bare minimum to do, then you won't be living a very happy life for each other. And there won't be nothing. So you just have a skeleton without any flesh, without any skin, without any beauty to your marriage. And that's how you live your life, a very formal relationship. So the way to maintain that is to do extra things that you would expect. I mean, you would want that your partner expects you to do, things like that. Obviously, things like cooking and things that you're talking about, that's something we talk about later, that you both have to come to some sort of understanding about. There's going to have to be some sort of understanding and compromise and whatever else, depending on how many other duties that the wife already has. If it's something that she can't do, then the man will have to obviously provide the food. So he's going to have to work out whatever way of providing that food. So if you're looking at duties, then that's the duty, what Sharia says about it. But like I said, the best ways to maintain these things is to talk about them and to work out what each partner should be doing.
Is the wife having her own home part of her physical need?
Okay, so yeah, that's a common one as well. She doesn't need to have he doesn't need to, I mean, again, that's one of these need things, yes? So what does he need to provide is simply a room which has a means of her being able to, to relieve herself, to use the toilet and a bathroom. That would depend on his financial background. If his financial background is that he comes from a family which do use a separate bathroom, toilet, and the rest of it in their household, they don't share it with other family members, other families, meaning. But if they live in a common, one of those common areas where one toilet, bathroom is shared between like 4 or 5 families living in one complex or something, then she can't be expecting for him to provide more than that. That's not the general norm. So the general norm would be that every household has their own toilet, bathroom. So that is something that when she comes into his house, then she would expect him to provide. So he needs to provide her a room which she feels secure in, and a separate bathroom, toilet. He doesn't need to provide a kitchen if he provides the food already. But if he doesn't provide the food and he expects her to cook, then he's going to have to provide some basics at least. So that's the bare minimum. But will a marriage last very long if he provides only this? Then probably not. So it's not a realistic thing to do. A realistic thing to do there would be to discuss, to come to some sort of understanding as to whether you want to live with the parents or not. And this is something that you would ask before pre-marriage, right? So this is one of the questions that what's your understanding of living with the parents, living with the in-laws? And they will tell you that, no, I'm living with parents. So if you're not of that mentality, then you know your answer already. Now, if they're saying, no, we'll move out after a year, then yeah, that's that. He's going to move out. But just bear in mind, obviously, 1 year is not 1 year. 1 year is, especially after when he says it's going to be something roughly around about 1 year or so, we're going to move out. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, so that was it with the questions, inshallah.
That's all the questions. Okay. I mean, after the sessions are finished, I would appreciate some constructive feedback as well, if people are up for that. So you can always email in some feedback, because this is the first time we've done the course in this way, and inshallah we do intend to hold inshallah future courses on these kind of things.
Inshallah. So with regards to the next session, shall we keep it the same time, or
I don't mind, whichever way you want to do it. I'm flexible with that.
Okay, inshallah. So we'll decide on something and then we'll keep the participants informed, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan.
Okay, then I will see you everybody inshallah next time. Allah bless you all, look after you all, look after your families, and grant you all happily married lives. For those who are not married yet, give you a perfect partner and a beautiful life. And for those who are married, give you a lifelong honeymoon period, inshallah. Yes, give us the ability to understand how to do that, and grant you all happy lives. And those who have no children, grant you children who will be the coolness of your eyes. And those who do have children, make the children become the means of your salvation and attaining Jannah, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for listening. Allah Ta'ala bless you all.
Ameen.